There's something in Buddhist land called siddhis. Siddhis. And these are essentially understood as powers. what your normal person that is virtually dead, as far as compared to what they ought to be or should be or have been or could be, it's what that person would consider as a miracle. And it's part of waking up, so to speak, that you'll come across these things known as siddhis, or what you would probably call a miracle. And they say, the gurus say, don't, those are trinkets. Don't take those and try to gather them up and safeguard them and use them to manipulate people and use them to make yourself look good or use them for whatever. Allow them to manifest as they should, and they will do what they're supposed to do, essentially. And if you view them as some amazing thing that you just can't believe it happened, then you're still attaching this idea of miracle to it, and you're making it harder to continue to happen. It's just synchronicity. It's not anything special. It just feels special because we forgot. We forgot what it was, even. Even in the Bible, a lot of that book is predicated on the miracle being something special, being a tool of power that's used to help make the Jesus character stronger, more powerful, and therefore worthy of being your savior. Whereas if the miraculous is not seen as this miraculous thing, this impossibility, this event that should be worshipped or given exclusivity to, or seen as special powers, if it's not given all that, then your average Joe can do it. And if you see, a bus barreling down on a homeless guy and the homeless guy starts laughing and then he just vanishes right before the bus hits him, then the watchers are just going, oh yeah, he knows what's up. And then they go on their way, rather than building a monument and a religion off of that one spot, that one incident that happened. There was a guy, I ordered his book, I forgot what his name was, and I forgot what the name of the book was. I might be able to remember the name of the book. It was something universe. But this guy had an awakening. He did the meditation thing. He did the focused concentration, but he kind of did it in a scientific, loveless matter way, stuff way. He did it like that. And at one point he said the bottom dropped out, or the self disappeared completely. Whatever his identity was, whatever he had construed as his self-identity, just disappeared. He said he was doing something with a piece of paper, writing down whatever, and all of a sudden the self disappeared, and then all that remained was body and motions and paper, and no, witnessing. And he didn't portray it as being anything lovely or nice, or this is something that you all should aim for. He was basically portraying it as everything drops out and you see what is for what is, which is sort of bleak. It's the void, the void without any adornment whatsoever. And one of his experiences after his self dropped out of the picture one of the siddhis that came along and manifested in his experience was that he was able to see with his eyes closed. So he had that third eye opening that Arcturus is talking about in his latest video. I'll put the link to that video in description box if you want to look at it. Arcturus Ra. That's what he's talking about with the school where the kids can be blindfolded, double blindfolded, and shown things on a chalkboard or whatever, and they just read it off, you know, like nothing, because it's not magical to them. They learned how to ride a bicycle, and then you ask them, hey, ride this bicycle, and the kid's like, all right, and he hops on the bicycle and rides it. And then the other people who are watching are sitting there going, wow, how does he do that? And you're like, well, he taught himself how to ride the bike. It's not, you can do it too. That's what you're saying. It's like, yeah, he taught himself to ride the bike, and you can ride the bike too. But in order for you to do that, you have to learn how to drop the conditioning that says XYZ things are miraculous and impossible for me. Because as long as you're saying XYZ things are miraculous and impossible for me, then they're going to be miraculous and impossible for you. And they won't happen. When you drop the conditioning enough to where your limitation set has been released a bit, then when something happens that would have been miraculous before, it's not anymore. And then the universe itself, which is expressing itself through you, that becomes normal. It becomes completely normal for that miraculous thing to happen, priorly miraculous thing to happen. That's the whole way that they do happen. Like with Tiffany meeting me. That was, to me, an example of something that previously would have been miraculous. When it happened and she hopped in the car, you know, I had a little bit of that, you know, like, whoa, what's going on type of reaction, but it was very small. And you know, like I said, 2 seconds after that, it was just like, oh, wow, I'm glad she's here. I'm glad we're here, and now we can hang out for the day. And we did. And you can see, again, that was an important learning experience for us and for everybody who's watching it, because it showed the groups or the individual responses to that type of thing, where some people said, oh, that's really cool, and you know, that's synchronicity, things like that, glad you guys can meet each other. And then other people are saying, well, their mind is saying, this is impossible, this is some sort of trick or something, or it was arranged by Uber, or you know, Tiffany is a Satanist and she's conjuring up powers and trying to siphon off Gary's energy. Like, the people that cannot accept something like that just happening because of a synchronicity, because we connected with each other over YouTube and energy draws toward another energy, if people can't accept that that could have happened, then they have to create some other reality to explain it, even if the one that they're creating is entirely ridiculous to us. To us, it's just, or to me and her, I think, it's just like, yeah, of course. Why not? Sure. And if that sort of thing were to happen again with anybody, really, you know, if somebody were to walk up right now, whoever, and say, hey, it's me, I'm here, then, you know, I would still have a little bit of the shock, because my brain still is not perfectly attuned to the miraculous happening. But so long as I'm able to release that, then it's not so fearful, or it's not so like, oh my God, what's going on? And it just becomes part of the normal reality. And that's what Arcturus is talking about when he's talking about the third eye stuff. And it's also important to note here that we're all essentially babies on the path, because we've descended so far from sort of source or infinite possibilities. We've contracted, constricted, smushed up so far that we have like we have a linear possibility for our lives, and that linear possibility is kind of hard to be disrupted because it's so protected by fear. So it's important, as you're on the path, it's important to go gently. Don't go try to grab a billion powers. Don't try to graduate in one day, because you'll get a taste. Like if you like, you're going for that, you're like, I want this thing, I want this power, I want my life to change, all this. Okay, well, you're gonna get like a taste of it, and most likely it will be too much for you, and you'll have some sort of a panic attack, or you'll have a huge fear reaction, and it will send you scuttling back into the program state that you were in before, except even more restricted now, because now your sensitive side, your inner, vulnerable piece part, now it's like, I'm not ever gonna do that again, because that was just ridiculous. So you have to be moderate what you're doing, because literally everything is possible. There's not any one situation or thing, or there's not a miracle that couldn't happen. Anything that can be thought of can manifest. Anything. All. So go easy on yourself. Don't try to graduate in a day. Go easy, go gradually. Even as you open up to new possibilities, open up properly. Don't you're trying to let some water trickle out from the dam, okay? There's some houses down the way, like, you let a little bit of water, a little more water out, well, people are going to get some more water and irrigation and in the proper amount, rather than you're like, oh God, I love all this stuff, and let's just break the dam. So you break the dam, and then everybody floods out, and a lot of people die, and you're feeling guilty because you opened it too quick. The ego self thing is the one that wants, gimme. And every single time, I remember Osho was telling a story about, he was telling a story about, this guy, he's in the restaurant, and there's a pretty girl over there, and your brain, your ego mind is like, oh, she's pretty, we should go talk to her. That would be a great idea. And so, you have this inner conversation with yourself, and you're like, yeah, that'll be a great idea, let's go talk to her. And you go talk to her, and she's like upset that you even approached her. She's like, no. Like, ugh. She doesn't say fuck off in so many words, but that's the distinct feeling that you get from it. And then so you come back to your table, or you run out of the restaurant, and immediately after, the same brain that said this is a great idea, you should do it, same brain says, you shouldn't have gone up to her. That was a bad idea. Bad idea. Why'd you do that? And that's what ego mind does. It's the most bipolar thing ever, because it doesn't know what it wants. It's always chasing after the shiny things. Always dissatisfied with them once it attains one of them, and it doesn't even attain them very often. So mainly it's just sitting in this I want, I can't have sort of mode. And don't try to banish the ego or destroy the ego, because your ego is the one trying to do that. It's very subtle and devious, but once you recognize the patterns, once you recognize what's an ego desire versus what's a universal fulfillment that is enacting itself through you, once you can start differentiating between those two, then if the ego thing comes along, then you're like, oh, yeah, probably not going to work out. let's just leave that on the side. And you also have, once you can differentiate, then you can even say yes to the ego stuff. You can say yes, okay, look, this is a stupid idea. This is gonna fuck us, but let's just do it anyway, because why not? You know? And then even that will be a different outcome than if you were being in the grabby mode when that idea to grab came up. Have a good day. Have a good night.